Yo, it was so sick today. I made it to Bible study. I got the 7 to 8 a.m. slot with the two deacons. This is awesome. I printed out it's like a UN report from April of 2017, April of 2018, and then the status report as of April of 19 for the locusts, for any locusts that are spotted. There's like a whole division at the UN. Well, 17 is like blank. There's no little dots or whatever. 18, it has 2 dots in like Algeria, because it shows northern Africa to like the sort of India corridor. And then, over to like Pakistan and like through all the northern Africa through the Middle East, Israel, whatever, and then to Pakistan. This is so fucking awesome what we're gonna do. Anyway, so I show 18, there's like 2 little dots, and then finally I show 19 and the whole fucking thing's covered. And I'm like, see, these are just, locusts happen every year. There's an agency at the UN, no big deal. But this year was the worst in 40 years. I'm like, now if you read Revelation chapter 9, it starts with 5 months of locusts and then 13 months, a day and an hour of where for to slay 1/3 of men. I'm like, so in 17 days, we'll end the 5-month period and we'll go right to the slay the 1/3 part of men. No big deal. Nothing happens. We can go on with our lives. I'm like, however, and then I tell him, I kind of lay out the 13 months, and I'm like, and then you can backtrack to the beginning of the 42 months of power from chapter 13 for the beast. This all sounds so nuts, but it's perfect because it's not nuts, because there is a God and this shit's fucking gonna pop the fuck off. Anyway, I'm like, if you go to the beginning of the 42 months, once you know when the locusts start, then you can see who is in power, who took power on that month in the world. And there's 8 people and you haven't heard of any of them except one, Donald J. Trump. And I fucking write that shit down. This shit's hilarious. I wrote it on the board. And then one of the deacons asked, he's like, did you, what happened at the beginning of the 42 months for you? I'm like, good question. I'm like, well, my dad and I, we hadn't seen each other in a year beforehand. We haven't seen each other since. But on the same day Trump was inaugurated, we both wrote each other off and said, if you die, I don't give a shit, basically. I'm like, God arranged that. He arranged September 23rd, 2017 for the beginning of that movie that I made. I'm like, he started the locust in January. He is fucking surgical. And there's no reason, if he's done all these things, to not do, the 1/3 of men part. Now I'm like, this is a gift, guys. Don't look at this as all scary. This is a gift to say, using my story as a template, reading the little book, which the whole point of our conversation was to talk about the little book from Revelation 10. I was like, my book is writing down a series of events that happen. Sorry, hold on. That happen, but you got to write them down. God arranges them, you live them, then write them. That makes me the lion. And I'm like, I'm just the first one. I'm like, now you're going to have 13 months, if I'm right, to just have at it. And you get to write the book of, and I said, well, you, or the book of you. I won't say their names. But anyway, and the humility that came across from one of the deacons, who's been kind of reluctant to even hear what I've had to say, although I will say, open-minded enough to at least have a conversation and facilitate the second deacon. Thank you. And then the second deacon. It was a good day. Now I'm gonna go roll silverware at Mashed. I love it. Oh shit. I said the man of lawlessness gets revealed first. I'm like, so if Donald Trump is the Antichrist, the first beast, then people are going to start to die on June 19th. I'm like, that's 17 days, guys. They're like, well, let's start back at Revelation 1. I'm like, okay, great. That's it. I just want to fucking explain this, and then we're home. We don't have to fucking deal with this again after January 19th or June 19th. But because I'm right, we need to have a plan. It's awesome. God's the king of the jungle, man. And then in Bible study afterward, because we switched from that mode to then all the other people show up and we just totally blank that conversation and move on to something else. And the level of humility, I think, was palpable. And then in the third Bible study of the day, mine was first, the second one where people showed up, and then the third one was a totally different group, but with one of the deacons. We were talking about Samuel and then leading up to King David. I'm like, oh, this is cool because I've never read any of this crap, so let's do it now. So we'll see what happens. Bye, guys.